Hello students, this is the another video from class 9th biology chapter 3 why do we fall ill, and here in this video we are going to talk about diseases caused by the bacteria. We will talk about some common diseases in humans which are caused by the bacteria. Okay, so let's begin. So the first disease which we will talk about is tuberculosis, which is also called as TB in a short form. So tuberculosis, TB, this disease was first discovered by the scientist named as Robert Koch, and he was a German scientist in the year of 1882. And for this discovery, he got the Nobel Prize in 1905. So who discovered this disease for the first time? Robert Koch, a German scientist in 1882. So this disease is an infectious disease because it is caused by bacteria, so it is infectious disease. It can transfer from one person to another person, and because this is infectious disease, so obviously there will be some causative agent, and here the causative agent is bacteria, which name is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. The name of bacteria that causes the disease tuberculosis is known as Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and it is a chronic disease. Okay, this TB or tuberculosis is a type of chronic disease. Chronic disease means that persists for a longer duration, that doesn't finish off in a short duration. Okay, so it persists in a body of a person for a longer duration and show various type of symptoms. And tuberculosis affects the lung, causing pulmonary tuberculosis. Tuberculosis can occur in different organs of our body. If it is occurring in the lungs, if the Mycobacterium tuberculosis is affecting the lungs, then that TB will be called as pulmonary tuberculosis. And this bacteria can also affect our intestine, meninges, the brain membrane of our covering. The covering of brain is known as meninges, and this bacteria can also affect the meninges, and it can also affect our bones, joints, skin, lymph glands, etc. So different kind of TB can occur in different organs. Now this disease can also affect the cattle, and which is known as bovine tuberculosis. When the TB occurs in the cattle, then that tuberculosis will be called as bovine tuberculosis, and this tuberculosis sometimes can also affect the man. Now this Mycobacterium tuberculosis releases a toxic chemical called as tuberculin, which is a test for TB, and it was discovered by von Perquet in 1907. There was a scientist, von Perquet. He discovered the presence of tuberculin toxin released by the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and that toxin is used for a TB test to diagnose this disease in a person. That chemical is observed, and hence it indicates the occurrence of this disease in a person. Now we will talk about the modes of transmission of tuberculosis. So what are the different modes of transmission of this disease? So TB is mainly transmitted by droplet infection. Droplet infection is the main method of transmission. When an infected person cough, sneeze, then it generates the largest number of droplets which contain bacteria, and these droplets spread into the air, and via that air the bacteria can transfer into the body of healthy person. Now what are the symptoms of pulmonary tuberculosis? The tuberculosis which occur in the lungs, that is called as pulmonary tuberculosis. So if the tuberculosis is in the lungs, so what will be the symptoms? Patients show persistent cough, fever, chest pain, loss of appetite and weight. This is the common symptoms of pulmonary tuberculosis. The infected person regularly cough, and he has fever also, he can tell about the chest pain also, and loss of appetite, loss of hunger, the feeling of hunger will be reduced and weight will also be reduced. Now, chest pain often develops early before the disease has gone to an advanced stage. In the starting of the disease, the chest pain can be seen, can be felt by the patient, and this is an indication of the disease. Now, if the TB is in the lymph glands, so the lymph glands swell, it will be swelled, it will be swollen, and glands of the legs discharge the secretion. The lymph glands which are found in our legs, they will discharge some secretion due to the swelling. So this is the symptom. Now we will talk about the prevention. How can we prevent it? How can we stop this disease? So good nourishment and sanitary surrounding. Nourishment, healthy diet is necessary for the prevention, for the control, and sanitary surrounding. Our surrounding, wherever we are living, in that area, the surrounding must be neat and clean. It must be hygienic, free from the germs. Now, immunization with BCG vaccine. Vaccine is a good method to prevent this disease, and the name of the vaccine which is used in this disease, that is called as BCG. Now, eradication of TB in cattle. If there are some cattle which are suffering with this disease, so the cattle must be treated. They must be healthier. Now, isolation of TB patient. TB patient should live in a isolated area so that the disease will not spread from the unhealthy person to the healthy person. Now we will discuss about the control. How can we control? Suppose if the person is suffering with the tuberculosis or TB, so how can we control? How can we treat it? So the treatment include chemotherapy. Certain important chemicals we use to eliminate the bacteria from the patient body. So chemotherapy is utilized to control the disease in the patient, and vaccine, bacterial vaccine is very important in this case, and it prevents the tuberculosis. It gives immunity against the bacteria of tuberculosis. So BCG, Bacillus calmette guerin, named BCG vaccine is used in the eradication of tuberculosis. Now we will discuss about the second disease which is named as cholera, and this is the disease caused by the bacteria, and that bacteria having the name Vibrio cholerae. The name of bacteria which causes cholera having the name Vibrio cholerae, and cholera is diagnosed by the symptoms of diarrhea. It may be fatal if fluid and electrolytes are not given. This disease cholera can be dangerous for the life if the dehydration will be more. Now, what are the modes of transmission? How this disease transfer from one person to another? So, transmission occurs from person to person. Fecally contaminated water, as wells, lakes, ponds, streams, and rivers. These water sources, if these water sources are contaminated, with the fecal matter of the patient, and if this water will be utilized by the persons, by the peoples, then they will get infected by the bacteria and they will suffer with the cholera. Now, contaminated food and drinks. Suppose you are taking some food and drinks and it is contaminated by the Vibrio cholerae, then you can suffer with this disease. Direct contact of person who carelessly handle excreta, vomit, and contaminated clothes. Suppose there is a person who is suffering with the cholera and he is not handling his excreta carefully, and his clothes are contaminated, and if he is vomiting, so the other persons who will be in contact of that infected person, they will also caught by the bacteria and they will suffer with this cholera. Now, flies are the vector. Flies are the very important vehicle of this bacteria. Flies move here and there on the excreta and on the dirt and dust and dirty places, and they carry the Vibrio cholerae, and when they move on food and drink, they shed this bacteria on the food and open food and drink, and when any person take that contaminated food and drink, they can caught up by this bacteria and can suffer with the cholera. So we must not use the open food stuffs and liquid items, fluid and drinking items. Now we will talk about the symptoms. What are the symptoms of this disease? So there are so many symptoms which include profuse, painless, watery diarrhea. Okay, In this disease, the main symptom is the diarrhea. The main symptom of this disease is diarrhea. What is diarrhea? In case of in the condition of diarrhea, our intestine, our gastrointestinal tract doesn't function properly. The digestion of food doesn't occur properly, and watery watery stool discharges from the body, and vomiting also occur. Now, due to the loss of water, the dehydration occur and resulting into collapse. Sunken eye. The eyes get in sinks. The eyes get sinks in. They get in deeper inside, and hollow cheeks, subnormal body temperature, absent pulse, low blood pressure, loss of skin elasticity, shallow and quick respiration. These are some common symptoms of the cholera. Output of urine decreases. The amount of urine will be decreases, and it can cease also. The urination can also stop. Patient feels intense thirst. That person feel intense thirst and pain in legs and abdomen. Death may occur at this stage due to the dehydration and acidosis. The acidity of blood increases, and that is called acidosis. When the acidity of blood increases, that is called acidosis. Dehydration means loss of body water. So due to the loss of body water and the increase in the acidity of blood, the person may die. Now we will talk about the prevention. How can we prevent it? How can we prevent this disease? So properly treated water should be provided to the community to check the cholera. The water which is utilized by the community, it must be hygienic. It must be hygienic. It must be germs free. There should be sanitary latrines, toilets for the community. Wash hands with soap after defecation. After using the toilet, our hands must be washed with the soap, so that we can free our hand from the germs. Sale of food should be under hygienic condition. The open food item we should not eat, and wherever the food is being sold, that place must be hygienic, must be free from the germs. Disinfection of patient's stool, vomit, clothes, etc. with bleaching powder. Suppose there is a person who is suffering with the cholera, the objects used by that patient must be infected by the bleaching powder. Now, cholera vaccine is the only specific agent for prevention and control of cholera. There is a vaccine which is called as cholera vaccine, and this is very effective for the prevention and control of cholera, and it should be utilized. Now we will talk about the control. Suppose if a person is suffering with the cholera, then how can we cure it? How can we treat it? So oral rehydration salt, ORS, should be given to mildly dehydrated patient. If a person is dehydrated in a medium way, in a mild way, then ORS solution should be given, so that the dehydration must be maybe stop. Now, severely dehydrated patient should be given intravenous fluid. If the person is dehydrated mildly, so ORS solution can be used. But if there is severe dehydration, so at that time intravenous fluid should be given. The fluid should be given via the blood. Antibiotics should be given as soon as vomiting has stopped. If the vomiting is there in the body of that person, so when the vomiting has stopped, antibiotics should be given to kill the bacteria in the body of that person, and antibiotics should be given after 3 to 4 hours of oral dehydration. So this is all about the cholera. Now we will discuss about the another bacterial disease, very common and very famous disease, and that is typhoid. So typhoid fever is a communicable disease because it occurs because of the bacteria, so it is communicable disease, and it found in all parts of the world where water supplies and sanitation are substandard. Wherever the water supply and sanitation is in lower quality, in a poor condition, there is a this disease is very common in those areas. This disease is very common in those areas where water supply and sanitation is poor condition. Now, typhoid is caused by the bacteria called as Salmonella typhi. The bacteria name of this disease is called as Salmonella typhi. It occurs mostly in 1 to 15 years of age group. In 1 to 15 years of age group, this disease is very common, but it may occur at any age. Now, mode of transmission. Typhoid is transmitted directly through the soiled hands contaminated with feces or urine of patients or carriers. These bacteria live in the soil, and if suppose there is a person whose hand is contaminated with that infected soil, so that can there is a major chance to infected by this bacteria. It is also transmitted by the ingestion of contaminated water, milk or food, or through the houseflies. This bacteria can also enter in your body through the water, milk, food, and via the houseflies. Houseflies can carry these bacteria and can carry and can bring these bacteria into the food items and into the drinks, and while using that food, contaminated food and drink, we can suffer with this disease. Now, what is the symptom? It is characterized by continuous fever for 3 to 4 weeks. This is the major and most common symptom of this disease, and that is fever. And the fever persists for 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, and person feel weakness, slow pulse rate, etc. Now, diarrhea may also occur in this case. Diarrhea can also occur, loose motion and vomiting can occur there. Fever with headache rises to the maximum in the afternoon. This typhoid is characterized by the occurrence of fever and headache, and this symptom, fever and headache, generally rises to the maximum in the afternoon period of the day. Now we will talk about the prevention. How can we prevent this disease from the occurrence? So, water supply should be protected and purified. Purified water must be used so that the bacteria will be killed, and basic sanitation should be improved. Basic sanitation means washing the hands before taking food, and washing the hands after using the toilets. Okay, so this basic sanitation rule must be improved, must be followed by the people to avoid this disease. Food hygiene is also very essential. Food must be hygienic, must be neat and clean from the germs, so there will be less chances of the occurrence of this disease in any community. Control. What is the control? How can we control it? Immunization is the only specific preventive measure. The vaccine is AKD, acetone killed and dried. Anti-typhoid vaccine is used to control the typhoid fever. Chloromycetin is the effective drug for its cure. This drug is given to the patient to cure this disease. Now, the next common disease caused by the bacteria, and it is diarrhea. Very common disease, and it is also called as gastroenteritis. It is also called as gastroenteritis. Diarrhea occurs due to the intestinal infection. The bacteria, in this case of diarrhea, the bacteria infect the intestine. The target organ of the bacteria in this case is our intestine, and there are so many kind of bacteria that can cause the diarrhea, like Escherichia coli, Clostridium botulinum, Shigella dysentery, and Campylobacter jejuni, and Salmonella vibrio, Bacillus cereus. So there are so many bacteria which can infect our intestine and cause the diarrhea. Diarrhea is most common in children, especially those between 6 months and 2 years. The children who are in between the 6 months and 2 years of age, they can easily infected by these bacteria and can suffer with the diarrhea. And diarrhea is more common in persons with malnutrition. Malnutrition means the person who is suffering with the deficiency of the nutrients, so that is called malnutrition. Poverty, reduced gastric acidity, immunodeficiency, lack of personal and domestic hygiene. So these are the reasons can enhance the chances of the diarrhea in any person. If the person is suffering with the malnutrition, if the person is having poverty, it is not having good amount of money to take healthy diet, so the immunity will be low, and the germs can easily attack that person. If that person is malnutritioned, and because of malnutrition, that person can easily attacked by the germs and can suffer with the different kind of infectious diseases. Now, if the acidity, gastric acidity, if the acidity in the stomach, the amount of acid is lower than the normal amount, so the germs cannot be killed in the stomach and they can survive and cause the diseases. Immunity, if the immunity is weak, so that person will, the body of that person will not be able to fight with the germs and suffer with the diseases. If a person is personally not hygienic, so there is a major chance of the attack by the germs. And domestic hygiene, in home the hygiene must be maintained, so we must avoid the unhygienic condition. Now, what are the modes of transmission? In this case of diarrhea, the modes of transmission is transmitted by water, food, directly via fingers, dirts, etc. Contaminated food and water are the major method of transmission in this case. Okay. Now the symptoms. We will talk about the symptoms. Loose motions occur frequently, accompanied by vomiting. This is the major function of diarrhea: loose motions and vomiting. It causes dehydration. Because of the loose motion and vomiting, the water will be lost by the body, and it will cause a dehydration in the body, leading to the death, especially in the children. Because of the dehydration, because of the loss of water from the body, the children can be died. Now, sudden onset of loose motion can be caused by the infection of bowel. Diarrhea stool in many cases are watery, but if blood is visible in stools, the condition is called dysentery. Sometimes in a stool, the blood can also be present, and in that condition is called as dysentery. Now we will talk about the prevention of diarrhea. How can we prevent this diarrhea? So, regardless of the causative agent of the age of patient, the treatment is rehydration. Rehydration is the very useful precaution, useful method to prevent this disease. Because in this disease, our body water get lost. So we must take water again and again. We must take good amount of water and maintain the quantity of water in our body through the process of rehydration. We should intake the water time to time after some interval. During diarrhea, normal food intake is essential. Normal food intake, healthy diet is very essential, and in case of small children, breastfeeding is very important, and oral dehydration, ORS, is important. Dal water and coconut water should be given to the patient for the rehydration. In case of diarrhea alone, antibiotics and purgatives should not be given. It can harm that patient. Now we will talk about the control. How can we control the diarrhea? So there are the measures to reduce the transmission. Improved water supply. Water supply should be improved. The water must be purified. It must be neat and clean, free from the germs. Excreta disposal. The waste material must be disposed very properly, hygienically. Improved domestic and food hygiene. Our food hygiene, domestic home, in the home, the hygienic environment must be there. Fruits and vegetables should be washed thoroughly before use. The fruit and vegetable must be washed to drain the germs from there. Washing of hands with soap before getting food is essential. Before taking the food, our hands must be neat and clean, must be germs free. So we must use soap. To kill the germs. Before taking the food, we must wash our hand with the soap. Husk of isabgol seed with water and curd provides relief. During this disease, we can take the isabgol seed with water and curd to get relief. So these are the methods to control the diarrhea. Like here in this diagram you can see, boil water before drinking. Okay, by the boiling, germs will be killed, so the water will be safe to drink. Proper sanitation is important. After using the toilet, we must wash our hand. Sanitation means cleanliness. Protect food from dirt, flies, cockroaches. Our food item must be covered. It must not be opened. We should not take the open food items. And breastfeeding is important in the children. The milk of mother will provide the nourishment, and it will increase the immunity of the baby. And now another way is washing hands before having the food. Before taking food, we must wash our hand to kill the germs. And clean containers of food. The containers which we use to cook the food, that containers must be neat and clean, and the fruit and vegetables that we use to cook the food, that must be neat and clean before cooking the food. So these are some methods to prevent and control this communicable disease. Now, so this is all about the bacterial diseases. So we have discussed about the diseases which are caused by the bacteria, and we have discussed about the tuberculosis, then we have discussed cholera, then we have discussed about So we have discussed about the bacterial diseases in human, and there were 4 bacterial diseases, which were tuberculosis, cholera, typhoid and diarrhea. So this is all about this video. Thank you.